To join in the Rugby League conversation, go to rlfans.com/forums and sign up today. Hello everyone, my name is Rob. Welcome to the Super League review, round 1. In this video I'm going to be covering the 5 matches from Super League plus the World Club Challenge for St Helens versus the Penrith Panthers this last week. So let's get started. On today's show we're going to be talking about Warrington Wolves versus the Leeds Rhinos, Wakefield Trinity versus Catalans Dragons, Leigh Leopards versus Salford Red Devils, Hull Kingston Rovers versus Wigan Warriors, Hull FC versus Castleford Tigers, and St Helens versus Penrith Panthers. So let's kick things off with the Warrington Wolves at home to Leeds Rhinos.
It's going to come down to that kicking game, and we look at both sets of halfbacks are massive for this team. We've talked about the Warrington one.
Oh, lovely ball for Ben Curry, and Curry is away, gets the pass to Dufty. Here is Ratchford with 2 more points. Ben Curry plays the ball. Here is Clark, little dummy from Clark, and a try from Clark. Darryl Clark. Here is Drinkwater, little step from Josh Drinkwater, ball out the back of the hand to Williams. Clark it is, Clark, ball over the top. Matautia, Fulis into the corner. Austin eventually stops his progress. Here is Drinkwater, here is Williams, little step, but Cruz Leeming gets a hold of him. Out the back is Danny Walker. Danny Walker stabs the kick in, and Walker gets the try. What will Williams come up with here? Hoists a little kick high, and Cassiano this time does get the... Jared O'Connor sizing the options up, and one of them is Austin. Austin to Alfords, and he's in at the corner, Darrell Alfords. Cameron Smith stopping his progress. Here is Williams now. Williams finds Harrison bangs that ball down, and Warrington get another drop. With Thomas McKaylee going close. Quick hands. Here is Minikin, and he is over. Has he got that ball down?
And certainly this speed of line on defence, apart from there.
Sangare with the try. A debut try for the French international, Justin Sangare. And there you go.
So I'll go into a couple of points of information about the Leeds Rhinos. First of all, they had 39% possession, 2 tries, 1 conversion, 3 turnovers, and 5 penalties conceded. Their spine consisted of Richie Myler, Blake Austin, Aidan Caesar, and Cruz Leeming. So full spine available to them. In terms of try scorers, they included Darrell Alfords and Justin Sangare. Conversions, 1 from Reece Martin. Meters, most was Blake Austin with 148. He also had the most carries and 2 assists as well. Definitely their best player from their opening round. There wasn't too many players to sort of, talk about, but stats-wise, Blake Austin was the number 1 player. A quick recap on the Leeds Rhinos. They had a lot of early errors, which cost them a lot of field position. There was constant pressure from Warrington after that. The defence got out of shape quite easily as well. So structurally, they were fine. But then the moment that Warrington wanted to shift the ball from left to right or right to left and kind of go against the play, Leeds' defence kind of didn't know what to do or didn't revert back to type and just got out of shape. And in the off-the-cuff moments were easy to kind of break down. We saw that especially with Josh Drinkwater going to the left, then moving to the right, offloading to Darryl Clark, him then getting free of a tackle, off to Matautia, and then he passed it across to Thulis. That felt like a common theme throughout the game in terms of Warrington's early points. It was definitely sloppy from Leeds, but I don't think the performance was so bad and the players are good enough for that squad to be able to recover from this next week. They will be fine. For some teams, it'll be a slower process to get things going, but for Leeds, I wouldn't worry about it. They'll be fine. Now moving on to the Warrington Wolves, they had 61% possession, 7 tries, 6 conversions, 1 penalty kick, 8 turnovers and 5 penalties conceded. Their spine included Matt Dufty, George Williams, Josh Drinkwater and Darrell Clark. So their full spine was available. The try scorers included Darrell Clark, Josh Thulis, Danny Walker, Matt Dufty, Sam Cassiano, James Harrison and Greg Minikin. And they had 7 conversions, all from Stefan Ratchford. Sky gave man of the match to Paul Vaughan, which I think was completely understandable. He had the most meters for Warrington Wolves in round 1. James Harrison was given man of the match in the stadium, and It sounded like some people were a little bit unsure about that, because I think people expected Paul Vaughan to get it because he had such a strong performance. But if we dive into the stats, I can firmly say that James Harrison was man of the match. 17 carries with 148 metres, third best for Warrington. 8.7 metres average, which is fifth best for Warrington. 33 tackles, which was the best. 0 missed tackles. 5 tackle busts, which was fifth best. And a try on top of it as well, which overall were better than Paul Vaughan's stats. And I have no issues with James Harrison getting the man of the match for that game. In terms of a few talking points, the intensity for Warrington was completely unmatched. Leeds were not getting anywhere near that level of aggression. Yes, there were some penalties. Some of them probably were soft in terms of getting repeat sets. But you have to get the points, and not every team is able to do that. But Warrington were able to come up with them quite quickly in the first half. I would say what people might remember from last year is Darryl Powell said that Warrington's best or most complete performance was probably against St Helens at home last season. I think the team from last week against Leeds would absolutely demolish that team that played against St Helens last season. Would absolutely demolish them. It wouldn't even be a contest. The second half was a lot slower, but they still felt in control of the game. There's not really too much to say on Warrington. I don't think the attacking structure was that smooth. I think there was off-the-cuff moments, as I've mentioned, and, a couple things that went their way, but the attacking structure hasn't really been shown off yet. Aside from the first try, I think that might have been slightly forward, to be honest, to get Ben Curry through the line. But it's a great start for Warrington, given how the whole of last season went. So not to downplay the victory, but I think there's definitely things that need to be worked on, but definitely a positive start for Warrington. Next up is Wakefield Trinity at home to the Catalans Dragons.
Ready. Don't know! Go for plan with that, keep going for. Okay! Top to left. Well shot. He's okay, right. I'm okay with that. Okay with that. On the flag, on the flag. Go for, keep top to let's go. Give him in his back now, 4. Back now, yeah. Okay. He's good, they're good. Play on, he's tackled. Oh. Backwards. Okay. On the flank job. 5. They're good. No. Ball 4. Ball's good. He's through. Okay. On the flag. Goes for. Oh, come on, look hard! Okay. Go 4. They're good. Ball's down, okay. Flag. Move, Mickey, get back! Ball, back! It's good. Okay! They're clear. What's after? Okay.
Starting with the losing team, Wakefield Trinity, they had 45% possession, 4 tries, 4 conversions, 2 turnovers and 3 penalties conceded. Their spine included Max Jowett, Leigh Gaskell, Mason Lino and Morgan Smith. Their try scorers included Max Jowett, Corey Hall, Matty Ashurst and Leigh Gaskell. Conversions, they had Mason Lino with 4. In terms of best player stats, Reece Lynn had 134 metres, they're number 1. Matty Ashurst had 43 tackles, Rob Butler with 11 metres per carry on average, and Mason Lino with 3 assists. In terms of the defensive review for Wakefield, there was an unfortunate bounce for Lewis Murphy for the first try. It looked like the ball was going to go out. I think most people would assume that the ball at that speed was going to go out, but an unfortunate bounce for him to deal with there. For the second try, they had slow reactions. They simply lost an aerial battle for the third. They were then outnumbered 4v3 for the fourth try. Pressed too high and allowed an easy offload for the fifth. Beaten to a kick through from the sixth, and the seventh try was an interception. So it didn't really feel like they were opened up too much. It didn't feel like it was so easy to be completely run through from the Dragons, but a couple things to work on, slow reactions, just being quicker to the ball, noticing these things, getting used to the speed of the game again. I know some teams, as I said, will have picked it up quicker than others. Unfortunately, Trinity weren't quick enough, in this case, but they'll build that up over time. Put some decent-ish numbers on the board as well. So attacking, Lino controlled things. We know what he's capable of. It's kind of unfortunate that they lost Jacob Miller to Castleford Tigers. Losing a big player like that in the spine is always going to be detrimental to your season. But Trinity definitely have some quality. I don't want them to have to rely on Mason Lino the whole season to get them through tough times. It looks like Max Jowett is a fairly smart player. Same with Leigh Gaskell looks all right. And I know Morgan Smith from his time at Warrington wasn't a bad player. Didn't offer too much, but, has certainly grown over the years. But not the best start for Trinity, but not too bad. Nothing too major to worry about yet. Now onto the Catalans Dragons. They had 55% possession, 7 tries, 5 conversions, 2 turnovers, and 3 penalties conceded. Their spine included Arthur Morg, Cesar Rouge, Adam Kieran, and Michael McAlorum. Their try scorers included Cesar Rouge, Tom Davies with 2, Tom Johnstone with 3, and Mathieu Laguerre with 1. In terms of conversions, Adam Kieran had 5. Man of the match for me, definitely Tom Johnstone. He had 189 metres, best for the Dragons. 12 metres per carry, also best. 7 tackle busts, you guessed it, best. And 3 tries on top of that as well. Easily man of the match for me. The difference for me when it came to the Dragons was that the pace that they were playing with the ball was just too quick. Way too quick for Trinity to deal with. The lines look very smooth. The connections look quite smooth. They're still missing players in the spine, but they look like everything flowed quite easily for them. And in the kind of chaotic moments, they read things quite well and were able to come up with the plays. They made smart decisions. And in moments where it could have been a 50-50, where Trinity would have had to deal with something, in a bit of a hectic moment, the Dragons made smart choices and quick choices to kind of deal with them and come out better off in those cases, and often scored tries off the back of those kinds of decisions. So a very clean start for the Dragons. I may have underestimated them this season. Still got players to come back in, so it could be an exciting year for them. A pretty decent start. But yeah, we'll see how the Dragons get on for the rest of the season. Next up, we have the Leigh Leopards at home to the Salford Red Devils.
Championship Player of the Year last year as Lamb ball over the top. Charlie! Just Charlie into the corner and gets the Leopards' first try on their return. Big chance here. Croft, Watkins for Salford. And half-time approaching. It's the Salford fans who celebrate. As he plays the ball, Ackers is going for it and getting it, and the Ackers under the posts. And right in the stroke of half-time, Salford extend their lead, and the Leigh Leopards caught napping. Great expectation that this could be the season where Salford cracked Super League, but Briley has cracked that Leigh defence. and Salford have extended their lead. It's that man Brodie Croft again, them further ahead. Charnley seeking to atone for his error. Charnley looking to make up for the knock-on, and maybe will make up for it with this try, but no, he's brought down at the last. It was Briley with the tackle, but Leigh Leopards are powering forwards.
10 minutes in the bin here for Mark Sneyd.
For sure. He's already gone, he was walking.
Yeah,
he was already going.
He knew, Bill, but what about that play from Ryan Briley? Summed up the situation.
And look, as Sneyd is in the bin. And they're being urged on now. And here comes Lachlan Lamb. And Lamb has taken on Briley. Lamb, could he go all the way? Briley does it again. A great tackle, but they need to be careful here. They've lost one man to the bin. Little kick ahead. They're all chasing it. And I think it's Atkin. There's a penalty. Somebody was taken out.
So there we go. Yeah, so Callum Watkins, keep it rolling, please. Clearly steps across him, prevents Jack Hughes from getting to that ball. In my opinion, but for that foul play, Jack Hughes would have got to that ball and scored the try. So thank you, I obey my decision.
It is a penalty try in favour of the Leigh Leopards. Massive call there. Jack Hughes would have scored that try. Game. That's a penalty, that's a penalty, that's 2 points for Sneyd. He puts his fingers up to the sideline. Paul Rowley responds, 2 points. Tom Amone with the tackle. And I think Tom Amone, for the record, is going to go to the sin bin. And 100% so far this season for the Salford Red Devils. They win at Leigh Sports Village. It's a landmark game for them.
Starting with the Leigh Leopards, they had 49% possession, 1 try, 1 conversion, 6 turnovers, 3 penalties conceded, and 1 yellow card. Their spine included Zach Hardacre, Gareth O'Brien, Lachlan Lamb, and Matt Davis to start with. Try scorers included Josh Charnley and Jack Hughes, who was awarded a penalty try. Conversions, Zach Hardacre gets 1. Best stats for the night, Josh Charnley wins in 3 areas with metres, 255 of those. Metres per carry with 14 and tackle bust with 6. Oliver Holmes with the highest number of tackles with 42. It felt like Leigh was sort of losing the battle in the forwards early on. They were pinned back quite a lot. It certainly improved for them when Ipape came on. The ruck speed was a lot quicker. There was a great pass from Lachlan Lamb to Charnley. Beautiful pass over the top. A lot of the times you see with those kind of looping passes that it's either slightly forward, like not, it's sort of, you'd see it's level, but you'd say maybe it's like a few inches forward, or it's well forward, perfectly behind for Charnley to catch and run onto as well. So it was a perfect pass from Lachlan Lamb. They were slow to close the gap for Salford's first try. They allowed too many metres when Salford then got possession off the back of that. There was good pressure early on in the second half. They were getting repeat sets, but they did let a few errors start to creep into the game. So they lost the ball a couple times. They couldn't really get things flowing. They were chasing the game at this point. They were opened up fairly easily for the third try. A potential shout for obstruction. I don't think it was there was too much interference, but you could argue it either way, whether there was some obstruction there. They eventually had a great break from their own 20-metre line to put Charnley through. Sneyd got a sin bin from that tackle. I would have argued that Ryan Briley could have also seen a yellow, because he swings his arm round, hits Charnley clean in the face, and then drags him down by the neck. Could have easily got a yellow card there. I would say, in short, Leigh Leopards looked fine, but not. I don't mean that to sound kind of as bad as it did. It looked fine for a team that's new to Super League, with players that will be adjusting to the pace. It was a fine start, and against a team like Salford Red Devils, the second best attacking team from last season, to only allow 20 points and to stay somewhat relatively in the game is a pretty good showing from the Leopards. So well done to them on their opening game of Super League. Now onto the Salford Red Devils. They had 51% possession, 3 tries, 3 conversions, 1 penalty kick, 4 turnovers, 5 penalties conceded and a yellow card. Their spine included Ryan Brierley, Brodie Croft, Mark Sneyd and Andy Ackers. Try scorers included Ryan Brierley, Andy Ackers and Callum Watkins, and they had 4 conversions all from Mark Sneyd. Man of the match for me was definitely Brodie Croft. 112 metres, second best for the Red Devils, 21 tackles, 2 tackle busts, 3 offloads, which was tied first, and 2 assists on top of it as well. What I liked about Salford was that they really went at Leigh early on. One thing people have talked about with Leigh is, are they going to adjust to the pace of Super League quickly enough? But what I like about Salford is they didn't give them a chance to get used to a typical Super League game. They gave them more than what you'd typically see in a Super League game. They made them sort of say, we're not going to allow you to get used to Super League, we're going to give you something different. We're going to get you to do more work than you on average will be doing throughout the season. And I like that about Salford. They really went at them and really caused chaos. So it was a great way to start the game from them. They ended up in good field position. They did misread the play for Charnley's try. That was the pass from Lachlan Lamb. They kind of it was a great little step from Lamb to draw players in, but they maybe they'll sort of figure out how not to be duped by that kind of sort of movement next time. In the middle of the park, it was kind of basic rugby in the way that it was just a few passes across the field, but they moved forward with pace, and that gave them very easy meters up the middle. So Brodie Croft as well was an example of how much pace and sort of threat they had in the middle of the park, because they gave him the ball a lot and he'd run at the line, try and get between 2 defenders, but it kept them guessing, and it would draw more players in, and they could sort of see where Leigh were vulnerable, but they certainly went at them, attacking and defensively. As I said, I thought Brierley probably could have been given a sin bin for his tackle on Josh Charnley. But yeah, I think the score felt fair to me. Salford were on a different level. They weren't overly incredible by any means, but they definitely looked clearly the better team, but a very respectable performance from Leigh Leopards, as I said. Next up, we have the Hull Kingston Rovers at home to the Wigan Warriors.
Hull KR, they're looking for an improvement, an 8th place finish, dropping 2 places down from 2021, and here we go.
The Betfred Super League is back on Channel 4, and Hull Kingston Rovers in the red and white will get first use of the ball, and they start. It's the ball to Abdul. Abdul's just going to stand up the kick. Can Kenny Dahl get it? He does. Can he offload it? He does. Chance in the corner! Hull Kingston Rovers have scored! Ryan Hall into the corner! Yet another Super League try for him. What a... Going to go down that short side. Here now, little chip over the top. There could be a chance here. It's going to be a walk-in. Beautiful. Liam Marshall gathers all the time in the world. And he blow, no doubt, for England's chances, as Cuss now will float the ball high. Coote has a look around him. Pierce Paul's going to challenge for this, and Pierce Paul gets it, and the ball's gone to Jay Field, and he's in! Did he get this one down? They're going to want to check it. It looked good at the first viewing. The high ball won by Wigan. There is the confirmation. This for Rovers. Can they hold firm? Here now is Kate Cuss. Stabs a kick through. Will it bounce for Pierce Paul? It does. And Wigan have got their 3rd try. Eventually the pressure tells. It's another deft little kick. And Kai Pierce Paul, the England international, extends. Waits. Gets it away. Minchella. Dummies. Gets it away now. Short pass. Here's Kenny Dahl into the line. Big chance. And Kenny Dahl is over. Sean Kenny Dahl with his first Super League try since April last year, and he's Abdul is back. Abdul will get it, and he's got time to nudge over a 1-pointer, and the kick is good. Jordan Abdul. Abdul's got bodies outside it. Here comes Coote. They've got the numbers. Great tackle. Brilliant tackle from Wigan. Stops the try, but there's one left, and they're going to get over this time. Kane Leigh. And this time, Lachlan Coote Makes no mistake, bumper crowd. It out at the moment, Rovers are trying to power their way. Now they're going to go through the hands, now they're going to execute, and now they're going to score in the corner. Second try of the afternoon for Sean Kenny Dowell, and that might just...
To in the blink of an eye, score up the other end of the field, but it's just Hull KR that have all the energy, and here's Liam Marshall away.
Well, Wigan are back to 13 now. Are they going to make it pay? They are. Marshall gets it to Wardle. Wardle going for the corner, and Wigan have got themselves a lifeline. A set restart. He hasn't got one, but he will go left now to Abdul. Abdul to Coop. Big chance here. Sean Kenny Dowell with a hat-trick for Hull Kingston Rovers, and he will win the opening round fixture for the Robins. Off to a winning start. They've beaten the cup holders Wigan.
Starting with the Wigan Warriors, they had 43% possession, 4 tries, 1 conversion, 2 turnovers, 6 penalties conceded and 1 yellow card. Their spine included Jai Field, Harry Smith, Cade Cust and Sam Powell. Their try scorers were Liam Marshall, Jake Wardle, Kai Pearce-Paul and Jai Field. The conversions, they had 1 from Harry Smith. Top stats, Toby King, number 1 for metres with 114. Jake Wardle, metres per carry, number 1 with 14. Morgan Smithies has the most tackles with 40. And Bevan French had 5 tackle busts, the most for Wigan. It was a weird first half for Wigan because it felt like they couldn't really handle Hull KR's speed around the ruck early on. But eventually they got some repeat sets and consistent pressure and a great little chip kick over the top to the corner and into the corner for Liam Marshall. He's a veteran. He's been around for ages. He's not going to mess that one up. Toby King, as you'd expect, winning an aerial battle. That's what he does best. To take the ball down and offload it to Jai Field, who's always popping up in the right places and gets the ball down for their second try. Wigan played with a lot of pace in the first half. A lot of pace. Biggest problem for them was some of the passes weren't as accurate and some of the timings were a little off. Like, one example was they had a scrum on Hull KR's, I think, 30-metre line. Jai Field slowly worked his way across to the left before the ball was played into the scrum. They have a 4v3 down the left-hand side. The ball gets played out and there's a looping ball over the top to Liam Marshall. And if that's just an accurate pass, he's through. With the pace he's got and the ability to finish, they're through. And that felt like a consistent thing. When they tried to get the ball out wide, it felt like they played with a lot of pace, and it felt like they were 10 seconds away from scoring at any point when they were in Hull KR's half. But just a few moments where the timings were off and the passes weren't quite accurate enough to run onto and to keep the momentum with the ball just held them back a little bit. Another thing that didn't help them in the first half, especially with the conversions, they missed 3 of the 3 tries that they got. They could have been up 18-12 at half-time, could have been 18-6 or 18-12, and they would have been in a great position to just see it out for the second half. It did feel to me like... It felt to me like Wigan were the better team in the first half, but it took them more goes to get their points, whereas it felt to me that Hull KR found it easier to get their points and metres up the field. But I just had this feeling that Wigan just looked more effective in a given moment. Just with the pace that they were showing. I was thinking, right, this is it. Jai Field's going to break through now. Bevan French is going to break through now. Liam Marshall's going to break through now. It didn't happen because Hull KR's defence was really, really solid. But it just felt like Wigan were the better team in the first half. On top of that... They gave Hull KR too many penalties in the second half, which gave them really good field position. It didn't look like they had an effective kicking game whatsoever. They had a lot of sloppy mistakes. In a sort of back-to-back period, they went from losing the ball from a charge down. After that charge down, they gave away a penalty. When they then kicked the ball back to Hull KR, after the penalty they conceded, they allowed way too many easy metres up the field from that set, and at the end of that set, got a sin bin. So it went from charge down, losing the ball, giving away a penalty, conceding 2 points, allowing 60 metres easily, then getting a sin bin. All in like one scene. And that was just kind of slowing down what the Warriors were trying to do. And yeah, you can't have moments like that and consistent mistakes and problems over and over again, especially when you're chasing the game. So I wouldn't be too concerned if I'm a Warriors fan, because there's still plenty of talent in the team, and they'll come back strong next week. I think there's just a very strong performance from Hull Kingston Rovers, so nothing to worry about. I'm sure they'll sort it out. Onto the Hull Kingston Rovers, they had 57% possession, 5 tries, 4 conversions, 1 penalty kick, 9 turnovers, 2 penalties conceded and 1 drop goal. Their spine included Lachlan Coote, Jordan Abdul, Mikey Lewis and Matt Parcell. Their try scorers were Sean Kenny-Dowell with 3, Kane Lynette and Ryan Hall. And with conversions, they had Lachlan Coote getting 3 and Jordan Abdul with a drop goal. Man of the match for me was going to be Sean Kenny-Dowell. He had 125 metres, second best for Hull Kingston Rovers, 8 tackle busts, best for Hull KR, and 3 tries on top of it as well. You can't ever really look over a hat-trick unless someone else had an insane game. What I liked about Hull Kingston Rovers is they did the simple things really well. So they were quick around the ruck, they had accurate passes and a lot of pace moving forwards, which allowed them to get the easy metres. When they got to Wigan's try line, they did well to either outnumber them on the wings or draw defenders in when it was even, and they made players kind of jump the gun a little bit and open things up for Sean Kenny-Dowell especially. As I said, Wigan looked more dangerous because of their pace, but the execution from Hull KR was a lot more clinical. Lynette and Sue were 2 players that stood out for me in the forwards. They looked like nightmares to deal with. I would say I wasn't overly impressed with Mikey Lewis. It felt like in that particular game it was more of a wind-up merchant role than it was scrum half. But there was a few little things here and there where he got involved, and I wasn't too impressed, but Jordan Abdul looks like he was completely in charge of that game for Hull KR with his passing, his kicking, direction of the attack. One thing I will also say about Jordan Abdul is somehow he looks like a Sunday League footballer. Like, he doesn't really move very quickly, but is an extremely skillful rugby player. So take that as you will. But yeah, Hull KR, they put a lot of pressure on Wigan's attack as well, which caused them to make mistakes over and over again. Yeah, I really like the intensity that Hull KR played with. It was a very fairly clinical game, I would say, from them. Few things to work on, but under a new head coach is a fantastic start against a really strong team like Wigan Warriors. Definitely a brilliant start, and hopefully they can build on this, because I put them, I think, 11th in my prediction, but they certainly showed me in round 1. Next up is Hull FC at home to the Castleford Tigers. Starting with the Castleford Tigers, they had 46% possession, 5 tries, 5 conversions, and 6 penalties conceded. Their spine included Niall Evalds, Gareth Widdop, Jacob Miller, and Paul McShane. Try scorers were Jake Mamo, Beretta Faraimo with 2, Jacob Miller, and Kenny Edwards. And they had 5 conversions, all from Gareth Widdop. Top stats, Jake Mamo won in 3 areas with metres being 190, metres per carry with 14, tackle bust with 5. Alex Mellor had the most tackles with 39, and Niall Evalds had 2 assists. Moving on to Hull FC, they had 54% possession, 6 tries, 4 conversions, and 5 penalties conceded. Their spine included Tex Hoy, Ben McNamara, Jake Clifford, and Brad Dwyer. Try scorers included Liam Sutcliffe, Darnell McIntosh with 2, Danny Houghton, and Adam Swift with 2 as well. And conversions, Jake Clifford had 4 of those. Man of the match for me was definitely, looking at the stats, definitely Tex Hoy. Based on the highlights you just saw as well, 104 metres, 5th best for Hull FC, 19 carries, number 1 for Hull FC, 8 tackle busts, number 1, 2 assists, number 1. And I should say those assists were beautiful. Beautiful loop balls over the top, on the left and the right. Versatility at its finest. But when I think about the score, not necessarily how one-sided it was and then how one-sided it was the other way, in terms of just the score itself, it didn't really surprise me that much, because the way I look at these two teams is that the edge players are a little bit slightly weak and a little bit, vulnerable at times defensively, but the spines that these teams have got are actually really, really strong. So in terms of their ability to create chances and the points they put up, it doesn't surprise me at all. You think of the spine that Castleford's playing with, or the spine that they will have, Evalds, Widdop, Miller, and McShane, and then Hull FC with Hoy, McNamara, Clifford, and Dwyer. Dwyer could also have been Danny Houghton, and McNamara will be Jake Truman when he's back. These two teams have really, really strong spines. But yeah, they're just lacking a little bit on the edges, I think. But they do have, talented players around the team. One thing I'd say, Hull FC fans should be really excited, because if you look at the season that they've got ahead, especially, they have some really strong forwards. But talking about the spine again, Brad Dwyer is a very energetic player. Plays with a lot of speed, and has certainly improved over the years, going from Warrington to Leeds and now at Hull FC. So he's been in the league a long time at this point. Jake Clifford was in control of the kicking game completely. Tex Hoy was popping up here and there to provide moments of brilliance, the 2 assists he had in particular. And when Jake Truman comes back in, they could be really dangerous. Now, you'd want to start the season with him. You'd want him to get a good start. But if your starting spine of Tex Hoy, Jake Clifford, and Brad Dwyer is going to settle in when Jake Truman does come back in to a spine that's playing this well already, it's going to be brilliant for him, because it's not like he will still have to learn like the timings with Jake Clifford, for example, and Tex Hoy, running through the back. But he's coming into a spine that is going to be established after a couple of weeks. So if Jake Clifford's going to be controlling everything, it's just on Jake Truman to just create, pop up where he's needed, and just run out the line, be a nightmare for defences. So I would be very excited if I'm a Hull FC fan at this point. So not saying that they'll go ahead and win trophies, not saying that they'll challenge for trophies necessarily, but they could be a really, really dangerous team this season and could put up... I could see them winning a lot of games by big points, and multiple points in this season. So, yeah, I would be excited if I'm a Hull FC fan. But I'm not. But I would be if I was. Finally, we move on to the Penrith Panthers at home to St Helens.
The World Club Challenge is underway. St Helens versus Penrith. And Leopards with the very first hit up from the kickoff. Experiencing here. Far removed from much of the discussion as St Helens find their way through. Serenade with support. The pass was on the line. They're going to score the first try. And this kid a scrapbook. Jack Wellesby, 21 years, running to a hole. Roby, short side, Wellesby, then for Connie! Carmelo's gone straight over. If anything, he's embarrassed the Panthers' defence. Piece of intense from Tommy Makinson. Lightning in the background. What a setting for the Borders.
Not stopped defensively. The St Helens line has been great all night.
Cleary, kick through. Here comes Taruba. He's leading the chase. St Helens have lost it. It'll be a try to tumble. They had three streaming through. St Helens couldn't clean it up. Penrith got their first. Last chance of the night. Luai fires it back. Crichton will bomb. It'll come down right on the goal line. It's there. It's lost by St Helens. Play on. They won't stop. Penrith have scored. Penrith have scored with 88 seconds to go for 12-10. Side of the posts.
Get a quick enough play the ball, Walmsley.
Roby calls the shots. Back it goes. Left foot shot. They've done it. The little halfback. Lewis Dodd has won the World Club Challenge for St Helens. He didn't get his first shot. He's got his second. And you ask if you got any doubts what it means to you.
So the stats for that game were St Helens had 51% possession, 2 tries, 1 conversion, 1 penalty kick, 11 turnovers, 6 penalties conceded, completion percentage of 78%, 3 line breaks, 10 offloads, and a tackle efficiency of 89.11%. Their spine included Jack Wellesby, Johnny Lomax, Lewis Dodd, and James Roby, their starting spine. Try scorers were Jack Wellesby and Conrad Hurrell, and they had conversions from Tommy Makinson and Mark Percival, which was a penalty kick later on in the game. Number 1 in tackles, no surprise, James Roby with 50. Most meters is also probably no surprise, Alex Walmsley, 183. Not too much to say on the performance, but I just want to give credit where credit is due, especially for St Helens coming up against a team that people thought were going to wipe the floor with them. This was a Penrith Panthers team that was nearly at full strength. And that's not me to kind of take a jab and say, oh, they were nearly at full strength. They were missing maybe 3 players at fullback, hooker, and second rower. But the fullback position was filled by somebody that is extremely competent in Stephen Crichton. So the entire backs for Penrith Panthers included Crichton, May, Tango, Taruva, who played at fullback for Fiji and was immense during the World Cup, and Brian Toto, Jerome Luai, Nathan Cleary. They had to deal with that back line. So let's not underplay this victory for St Helens, because they came up against the best team in Australia, many say is the best team in the world, and beat them in their own backyard. So full credit to St Helens for going over there and doing that for the first time in God knows how many years. So yeah, well done to them. And it's unfortunate that they couldn't play against Huddersfield in round 1, because that would have been a hell of a game. But yeah, we'll see how they get on in Super League. So from round 1, there was a total of 44 tries, 251 points, and an average of 50 points per game. And that's just from 5 matches in Super League. So what a fantastic start it was. There's plenty of great games. As I said, wish we could have seen St Helens versus Huddersfield, but that'll be coming in a few weeks' time. I think round 5 for them. But yeah, Huddersfield will be playing Warrington Wolves in round 2. That should be a fantastic game. Can't wait to see that on Friday. But yeah, if these kind of numbers of tries and points are anything to go by in terms of how the season's going to go, I'm very excited. And to be honest, I'm already very excited. I can see which teams might be near the bottom, which teams might be right at the very top. But there's maybe like 6 teams in the middle that could all be interchanged in any position. I'm very excited about this upcoming season, because every team feels like they have a somewhat respectably competitive squad in one way or another. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the rest of this season. And yeah, hope you guys are too. But that's going to be it for this video. If you have any thoughts on the round 1 fixtures, let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with new content. You can also follow the social media accounts in the description down below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.